everyone, welcome back to the deep dive. We're all on this journey, figuring things out as we go along, and today we're going to really explore that journey, how we find our own paths, take care of ourselves, and connect with something bigger than, just our everyday lives.
We've got some really fascinating stuff to share, and I think you'll be surprised by where it takes us. We're going to look at some ancient wisdom, a really interesting meta-analysis, and even try out a powerful technique that you can start using right away.
Right, so we're talking about a whole range of ideas here. But the goal is to distill some practical insights and maybe even find some unexpected connections between these different perspectives. Think of it as your personal roadmap for navigating life's big questions.
Exactly. It's like we're taking a shortcut through all this information and getting right to the heart of what matters. So, ready to jump in?
Absolutely. We're going to start by looking at the importance of truth and kindness. One of our sources really emphasizes that those two things, truth and kindness, need to be the foundation of everything we do.
Yeah, the idea is that when our actions are rooted in kindness and goodwill, that doesn't just benefit us personally. It actually contributes to a greater sense of well-being for everyone around us.
Makes sense. It creates a ripple effect.
Right. It fosters joy. It fosters respect. It makes the world a better place.
And the source also talks about the importance of thinking for yourself, taking care of your own well-being first.
Exactly. It's like putting your own oxygen mask on before helping others.
Right. You have to take care of yourself so you can be strong enough to face whatever comes your way. And this source actually suggests that we need to use courage actively to stay strong. It's not something passive.
That's a really interesting point. And it ties in with this concept of truth being immutable. No matter what we do, no matter what we think, the truth is the truth.
Even if we deny it.
Even if we deny it, yeah. Denying the truth doesn't make it any less true. It just kind of adds more confusion. But what this source suggests is that if we actively move towards truth, if we embrace it, it actually helps us shed those mistakes and misunderstandings. It's like a cleansing process that leads to more clarity and a sense of freedom.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. It's not about following rules. It's more about aligning ourselves with this underlying current of reality.
Right.
And, the source goes a step further, and this really struck me. It suggests that even the good things we seek in life, the joys, the pleasures, those are actually attained through pursuing truth.
It's a really profound way of looking at it. And it goes on to say that a life based on being just, loving, and, living in accordance with truth brings its own rewards.
What kind of rewards?
It talks about a life free from injustice, free from the burden of a guilty conscience. It really highlights the importance of being fair and responsible, not just to others, but to ourselves as well.
So we avoid that inner conflict, that feeling of, being out of sync with ourselves.
Exactly.
And that sense of fairness extends outwards, right?
Great.
To our relationships with others.
Absolutely. The source talks about applying that same conscientiousness to how we treat other people, building our relationships on a foundation of trust, and avoiding that kind of uncertainty that can push people away.
It's all about creating strong, reliable bonds.
Right. And then it goes even further and says that we have a duty to help others.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just any kind of helping. It's about helping with sincerity and humility. It presents this as a fundamental aspect of how the world works, almost like a law of creation.
So it's like our actions have a ripple effect on the world around us.
Yeah. Exactly. We're all interconnected, and what we do matters.
Okay, so we've talked about this foundation of truth and kindness. Now our source shifts gears and talks about the power of giving.
And it has this really interesting perspective on possessions and what we value in life. It actually cautions against being stingy, saying it's ultimately pointless because when we leave this life, we can't take any of our material things with us.
That makes sense. We come into this world with nothing, and we leave with nothing.
Right. But what's really fascinating here is how the source describes what happens after we leave this physical world.
Wow.
It's not presented as another material place, but as a realm of pure spiritual energy.
Spiritual energy.
Yeah, the finest, most fundamental form of energy, kind of like the primal power behind all creation.
Okay, I'm following you.
So from this perspective, all those possessions we accumulate, those elaborate memorials, those don't really matter in this realm of pure energy.
It really puts things into perspective.
It does. And it reinforces that earlier point about fairness and responsibility, urging us to move away from injustice and toward this truth of creation.
It's like our focus should be on our spiritual growth rather than accumulating stuff.
Precisely. And then it introduces this concept of primal power. You can think of it as this fundamental energy, this creative force within the universe. It's the potential for growth and change that exists everywhere.
Wow, that's a big concept.
It is. And the source suggests that the basic laws of creation give us access to all this potential, this ability to shape our lives and the world around us.
So it's like we have the power to create positive change.
Yes, exactly. But it also says that this understanding isn't just given to us. We have to actively seek it out,
Yeah.
We have to be willing to learn and grow.
So it's a lifelong journey of discovery.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've considered these philosophical ideas. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about our connection to nature.
Sounds good.
Our next source is a meta-analysis, which basically means it combines the results of a lot of different research studies.
It's like looking at the big picture instead of just individual puzzle pieces. And this particular meta-analysis, which was done in May of 2022, focused on the impact of natural settings on our emotions.
And what did they find?
Well, they found that spending time in nature has a huge positive impact on our emotions. It boosts positive feelings and reduces negative ones.
Makes sense. We all kind of intuitively know that, don't we? Being in nature just makes us feel better.
Right. And this actually ties into a concept called biophilia, which is basically our innate love of living things.
Biophilia.
Yeah, it comes from the Greek words philia, meaning love of, and bios, meaning life.
So we're literally hardwired to love nature.
It seems that way. And the source uses this really interesting example to illustrate this, the way animals often behave strangely before natural disasters.
Oh yeah, like they can sense something's coming.
Exactly. It's like they're picking up on subtle cues from nature that we as humans have kind of lost touch with.
That reminds me of Steve Terrell's story about his son's intuition before Mount St. Helens erupted.
Oh, yeah, that's a powerful example.
His son had this really strong feeling that they needed to leave their campsite at Spirit Lake, and that instinct literally saved their lives.
Wow.
It really highlights this idea that children might be more in tune with these natural signals because they haven't developed all the filters that we adults have.
That's a really interesting point. It ties into biophilic design theory, which suggests that we should incorporate natural elements into our buildings and cities to improve our well-being. But Terrell's story takes it a step further, suggesting that this connection goes way beyond design.
It's this primal connection we all have to nature.
Exactly.
So we have this connection, but how do we actively engage with the spirit of nature? Our source suggests that our thoughts play a really important role.
Yeah, it talks about this idea that everything is interconnected through thought.
Okay, how so?
Well, it suggests that through our thoughts, we create links with what it calls higher beings and even unseen worlds. And it says that spirit, in a very broad sense, communicates with us through our feelings, our intuition.
So it's like our thoughts can bridge the gap between ourselves and, well, everything else.
Exactly. And it suggests that spirit exists in all parts of nature, from the smallest flower to the vast ocean.
So it's not just about connecting with trees and mountains, it's about connecting with this universal energy.
Right. And the source gives these really lovely examples of how these nature spirits might try to connect with us. A sudden scent of pine, the fragrance of a flower, a tree swaying without a breeze, the way light ripples on water, a bird singing.
You know, those are the kind of things we often just dismiss as everyday occurrences.
Yeah, but the source suggests that these might actually be intentional attempts at connection.
Wow. So simply acknowledging these moments, maybe even feeling a sense of gratitude, can open us up to experiencing more of these interactions.
Exactly. It's about being receptive to these subtle forms of communication.
That's amazing. And the source also says that focusing on nature consciously can actually enhance our own inner radiance.
Right. It's like a reciprocal
So
relationship.
the more we give to nature, the more we get back.
Exactly.
It reminds me of the experience of meditating in nature, away from the noise and distractions of city life. Our source describes this as a really powerful way to connect with the plant world, with the spirit of nature, and ultimately with our own spirit of self.
Yeah, it talks about this feeling of oneness, this merging with nature, and how it brings this profound sense of joy.
A joy that doesn't depend on anything external.
Right. It's a sense of completeness, of true fulfillment.
Okay, so we've explored truth and kindness and our connection to nature. Now let's talk about a practical tool for strengthening our inner well-being. The Golden Egg Psychic Protection Meditation.
Oh, this is a great one. It's a guided visualization that helps us expand and protect our personal energy.
And it's something you can do anytime, anywhere.
Exactly.
You start by finding a comfortable position, closing your eyes and taking 3 deep breaths to release any tension.
Uh,
Then you bring your attention to the top of your head and notice any sensations you feel there.
it could be a tingling, a pulsing, or just a feeling of warmth.
And then you imagine a bright white light entering your head at that point.
Right, surrounding your skull, feeling warm and comforting.
And then you guide that energy down into your chest, around your heart.
Visualizing it as a playful, helpful light.
And this light starts forming a ball of energy right in the center of your chest.
And as you focus on it, this ball expands and might even start to take on different colors.
It's your own energy merging with this visualized light, creating a safe, bright shield in the shape of an egg.
Exactly. And this energetic egg helps you feel more centered and grounded. It helps you express your true self more authentically.
So it's like a buffer against outside pressures.
Exactly.
And then this light radiates out from the egg, down into your rib cage, and beyond, filling your heart.
Like a wellspring of love and energy.
So it's not just an external barrier, it's connected to your deepest emotions.
Exactly.
And then this feeling expands until your whole being is surrounded by this protective, loving light.
You're safe, you're secure, you're loved.
And this golden egg becomes like a constant source of healing energy that you can draw on whenever you need it.
That's right. And the meditation also suggests that you can use this egg to filter out negativity. It's like a mirror that only reflects love back out into the world.
That's a beautiful image. And the great thing is you can return to this feeling of being inside the egg anytime you need to.
That's right. You created it, it's yours.
And the meditation ends with gentle instructions on how to come back to full awareness, wiggling your fingers and toes, bringing movement back to your body, and slowly opening your eyes.
Taking a moment to just be present and appreciate the experience.
Wow. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's incredible to see how all these seemingly different pieces connect. We started with the importance of living authentically, guided by truth and kindness. Then we explored this profound connection we have to the natural world. And finally, we learned a practical tool for strengthening our inner well-being.
It's amazing how these diverse perspectives, from ancient wisdom to modern research, all point us towards a more holistic way of living.
It's about nurturing our inner integrity, recognizing our connection to everything around us, and having tools to support our well-being. So here's a final thought for you to ponder as you go about your day. How might cultivating both that inner sense of integrity and a deeper connection to nature influence your experiences and your sense of purpose? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.